When life gets unpredictable, preparation matters. In medicine, it's all about staying alert, ready for whatever comes through the door. On the road, it's no different. That's why Volvo designs vehicles to help anticipate risk, reduce harm, and protect lives. The Volvo XC90's advanced safety systems inspire confident decisions wherever the road takes you. The Volvo XC90, for life. Proud sponsor of the Pit Podcast. Learn more at volvocars.ca/safety.
With you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest nonprofit credit counseling organizations in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They could help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-318-1940. That's 1-800-318-1940. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-318-1940. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-318-1940. Ontario license number 4705786.
When you just have to see it.
Locals keep coming by to see the damage.
To believe it, CTV's team shows you the story from every angle. Watch breaking news video and live events on CTV News at 6 and visit ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
On a need-to-know basis, he's got you covered. Elias Makos, CJAD 800.
Welcome back to the Elias Makos Show. It's 11:20. Well, the Parti Quebecois is calling on the government to increase the hourly minimum wage in Quebec. They want to see a change from its current $14.25 an hour to $18 an hour. They believe this is necessary to help fight the financial drain that workers are experiencing. The PQ also calling out growing income inequalities in Quebec, as well as the lack of actions from the CAQ government to find solutions for them. Let's find out more about this proposal of $18 for a minimum wage. We go to Virginie Larivière, spokesperson for the Collective for a Poverty-Free Quebec. Virginie, welcome back to the program.
Hi, thank you.
So let's talk about that number, $18 an hour. Is that, like, when you look at various proposals, and the Parti Quebecois says $18, is that the number that you need right now in Quebec to sort of live with dignity?
Well, this is a number that we are asking for a bit more than a year and a half now. But, actually with the inflation rate and the many crises that we are getting through, it's probably a bit more. But we are being conservative, and we are still asking for $18 an hour for the minimum wage. That's the bare minimum that a person needs when a person has a job, let's say full-time, 35 hours a week, all year long. We need $18 an hour. That's for sure. It's the barely minimum.
It's been the policy of the Quebec government, and this isn't just the CAQ, before with the Liberals. It's been a while now in Quebec that the policy has been you take the median income in Quebec, you divide by 2, that's how you end up with the minimum wage. And that means that come April, we will see the largest increase ever in the minimum wage. We don't have the exact figures yet, I believe, but we're going to see an increase, not to 18, but an increase there. Why do you think, because Quebec, if you look at Canada as a whole, right, incomes generally speaking are a little bit lower in Quebec. Why do you think that straying from the current formula that, multiple governments have used, why do you think straying from that formula would be the right way to go?
Well, I think that, you explained that the government choose to cut in half the average salary and to determine the minimum wage. And that's the way, all government in Canada made their decision over the minimum wage. But we know that in the last years, a couple of provinces decided to change that way of calculating the minimum wage, and they went a bit over the 50% of the average salary. And things are going okay in those provinces, and we know that Quebec should and could increase the minimum wage way over the 50% of the average salary. And we know, it's kind of strange that the government of Quebec didn't announce the next step for the minimum wage. Normally, it's in December that the government announced this increase. So we are really nervous. We can't wait to know what will be the next raise. Our guess is that the minimum wage will be raised at $15 an hour, and that the government will probably be really proud of that decision. But it's clearly not enough, and it's an increase that should have been taken years ago.
How many people, Virginie, in Quebec make minimum wage right now? Do we have sort of how many people and what industries? Where do we find the people that are making minimum wage?
There's about around 200,000 people who works at the minimum wage, and we know it's about 800,000 people who works with $18 an hour or less. So it's kind of a lot of people, and it's mostly in the services, restaurants, hotels, shops, that kind of sectors offer the minimum wage. That's mostly there that you can see workers earning the minimum wage.
So, over the holidays, you end up having dinners with family and friends and that. And I remember I was at one dinner, and someone at the table was 15 years old, right? In high school, 15 years old. They've got a side job. They work at a poke bowl shop, right? They work at one of these fast, quick serve restaurants making poke bowls. Is already at $16 an hour, right? And that's just the going rate. I've seen the stories about what even places like Tim Hortons and McDonald's are offering, particularly outside of Montreal. You can see in Quebec City, sometimes they're offering $17 for these types of jobs, right? So what do you say to someone who's like, hey, listen, right? Like you mentioned the number of people actually making minimum wage is only 200,000 in the province. We have 8.5 million people. The number's already low. Most people make more than that. And right now what's happening is the market, because there is such a tight labor market, everyone needs employees, that it's going up on its own. What do you say to that maybe we don't need to legislate an $18 number?
Well, I say to that the market actually is putting a lot of pressure over the employers to increase their salary for the employees. But, like 5 years ago, it wasn't that hard to find some employees. So it really depends on the market, and we cannot let's say that the market actually is kind of good for people who are looking for a job, because employees are rising their minimum wage and their work condition for getting employees. So that's a good situation for workers now, but we still have 200,000 people who still work at minimum wage. And that the Prime Minister himself acknowledged before Christmas last December, that it was really difficult to live with dignity in Quebec when you earn $18 an hour. So even the Prime Minister knows that at $18 an hour, he's not even talking about the actual minimum wage. So I think it's kind of a security to have some laws that say that when you work full time in Quebec, you should not live in poverty, no matter what happened in the market. Because now it's actually pretty good for the workers, but it wasn't always the case, and that's why we think we should have those kind of security and laws and politics that made the statement that in Quebec, when we work full time, we get out poverty. We don't have to struggle or to go to the food banks, like it is actually the case.
Virginie, let me ask you this. This is a tricky question, okay? Because a lot of employers in the province and the groups that represent employers, they're making big demands, more immigration. Please increase the numbers in a big way to have more immigrants come to Quebec. And I've heard people say that would lead, that's basically a way to lower hourly rates. So I would love to know, from your position with the Collective for a Poverty-Free Quebec, what are your thoughts on immigration if the numbers could make it easier for companies to pay less to employees, especially in a labor market like we have now?
Well, we don't have a position over immigration. It's not really, everyone who works full-time should get out of poverty, no matter what the situation of the market, like I said. And it's the same thing, like her position over Social Security. We think that everyone should be able to cover her or his needs. We think that a person who works full-time should get out of poverty without having to go to the food banks. And no matter what, your condition, or where you come from. So
Virginie,
that would be our position over immigration.
Virginie, a great discussion. I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
That's Virginie Larivière, spokesperson for the Collective for a Poverty-Free Quebec. Right here on the corner of Papineau and Reine-Lévesque, the snow is falling, around 2 to 4 centimeters expected today. I just want to let you all know that CJAD 800 will be all over this winter storm warning that we've got now, starting this afternoon into the evening. If any schools do some preemptive cancellations, you'll hear it on CJAD 800, and we'll be keeping track of driving conditions and the situation at the airport tomorrow morning. When we return on the Elias Macko Show, we are going to take a look at rats. Rats are taking over the city of Montreal. City has announced one big change. We'll take a look at that and empty storefronts, which may be related, by the way, next.
This newscast is brought to you by 1-800-GOT-JUNK. No contact junk removal from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. All you have to do is point.
Good morning, it's 11:30. I'm Jason Mayoff for the CTV News Update. Here's what's making news right now. The annual World Report by Human Rights Watch says Canada is violating the rights of Indigenous people when it comes to things like climate change, immigration, and drinking water. And it says Canada's border agency continues to operate without oversight, detaining some asylum seekers indefinitely. Airlines and airports on the hot seat today as the House of Commons Transportation Committee looks at what happened over the holidays and how that travel chaos might be prevented in the future. And U.S. President Biden insists he takes classified materials seriously after documents were found at his Delaware home and former office. Biden told reporters he's fully cooperating with a Justice Department review. He said a small number of documents were found in storage areas in his home, as well as a private office in Washington, D.C. With the latest from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, here's Lauren Glazer.
Good morning, Jason. For northbound to Cary, we have some increased volume starting Côte St. Catherine, now back up to the top. On the eastbound side of the Met, delays from ahead of DeCary to Stinson. Southbound 25, you're losing time, Sherbrooke to the tunnel. For the westbound side of the Met, that also has some off and on volume between St. Michel and DeCary. At Sports Experts and Atmosphere, take advantage now of 20 to 50% off on selected winter jackets, boots, and equipment. Details in store. Traffic and trends at every 15 minutes on CJAD 800. Your next report at 11:45.
Your Dormevu Weather Center forecast, up to 4 centimeters of snow today, the high 0. Snow at times heavy tonight, 10 to 15 centimeters, the low 0. And another 5 centimeters of snow tomorrow, possibly some freezing rain in the morning, windy, and will fall to -3 tomorrow afternoon. It's -5 downtown, but it feels like -10. Your next CTV News update is at noon.
If you or someone you know has a problem with drugs or alcohol, you're not alone. We can help. Call Andy's house at 514-738-ANDY. That's 514-738-2639. Call today.
Donna didn't come into the office today?
No, she's got a fever.
Aww, that's so thoughtful.
A woman of principle.
She even wears a mask to the mall and washes her hands for like 20 seconds.
Some people are just too perfect.
And when she has a sore throat, cough, or runny nose, she wears a mask too.
I can't believe it.
Talk about considerate.
I'm touched.
She can have my office chair.
She can have my office.
For everyone's good, let's adopt proper habits against the viruses. A message from the Gouvernement du Québec.
The Brick has been proudly serving Quebec since 2004. Whether you're looking for the hottest seasonal trends or timeless pieces that last, The Brick has the best selection to transform your house into a home. Canadians know they can find high-quality household furniture, mattresses, appliances, and home electronics at great prices. With The Brick's top-notch customer experience team and price match guarantee, you can shop carefree.